Today, we are tackling one of the biggest, most fundamental questions you can possibly ask: why? And we're going to explore how one of the greatest minds in history, Aristotle, came up with a timeless framework to answer it. Honestly, it might just change the way you look at, well, everything.
I mean, think about it for a second. Why does anything happen? It sounds so simple, but why does a seed become a tree? Why does a building stay standing? Why are you even watching this right now? That question, it's the engine of all curiosity, all science, all philosophy. And for the ancient philosopher Aristotle, this wasn't just an important question. It was the most important question. He was convinced that to really truly know something, you couldn't just have a shallow, surface-level answer. You had to understand the complete story behind its why.
Now, Aristotle wasn't working in a vacuum. He wasn't the first person to wonder about all this. He was actually part of a long tradition of thinkers who were doing what they called an inquiry into nature, which, at its heart, was really just a massive search for causes.
You have to remember, this was basically the dawn of what we would now call science and philosophy. People were trying to figure out the fundamental rules that govern the entire universe. They were definitely asking the right questions, but Aristotle felt their answers, well, they were missing something crucial.
And this is where Aristotle has his big aha moment. He looked at the thinkers who came before him and said, look, you guys are on the right track, but you're kind of fumbling around in the dark. They had bits and pieces of the answer, but they didn't have a system. They didn't have a complete theory of what a cause actually is.
So what does he do? He sets out to build one. Not just a single, simple answer to why, but a whole framework, a kind of multi-tool for explanation that you could use on pretty much anything you could think of.
And his big idea was this: there isn't just one answer to why. There are four. Four totally distinct types of explanation that, when you put them all together, give you the complete picture of why something is the way it is.
So here they are: the material, the formal, the efficient, and the final cause. Now, to make this super clear, and not just abstract philosophy, we're going to use a really simple, hands-on example that Aristotle himself would have appreciated: making a bronze statue. Okay, first up, the material cause. This one's the easiest. It's literally the stuff something is made of, the matter. For our statue, it's the bronze. Simple as that. No bronze, no statue.
Second, we've got the formal cause. Think of this as the blueprint, the design, the shape, or the structure. It's the idea in the sculptor's head that takes that lump of bronze and gives it the form of, say, a person or a horse. It's what makes it what it is.
Third is the efficient cause. This is the thing that actually does the work, the agent that brings about the change. Now, you might just say, oh, that's the sculptor. But Aristotle goes a little deeper. He says the real efficient cause is the art of bronze casting, the skill, the knowledge, the process that makes the whole thing happen. It's the how. And finally, number 4, the final cause. Aristotle called this the telos. This is the purpose, the end goal, the whole reason it's being done. For our statue, the material, the form, the action, it was all done for the sake of creating the final piece of art. That's its ultimate reason for being. Okay, so those first 3 causes probably seem pretty straightforward, right? Especially for a man-made object. But this last one, the final cause, this is where Aristotle's idea got really revolutionary and honestly pretty controversial, especially when he applied it to the natural world. I mean, saying the statue has a purpose, that's easy. But to say that a tree has a purpose, or that your own body has a purpose, that was a massive leap. It suggests that nature itself is driven by goals. And to prove his point, Aristotle uses this fantastic example from biology. He just asks us to look at our own mouths. Why are our teeth arranged this way? Sharp in the front, flat in the back. Is that just some random, lucky accident?
So his opponents might argue for explanation number 1. It's pure coincidence. The raw materials just happen to form this way, and hey, if it helps an animal survive, that's just a lucky break. But Aristotle fought for explanation number 2. The teeth grow this way for a purpose, specifically for the sake of tearing and grinding food, something that's absolutely critical for survival.
And here's his knockout punch. He points out that this arrangement of teeth isn't a one-time fluke. It happens consistently, again and again and again, in countless species. And when you see that kind of regularity, he argued, calling it a coincidence isn't an explanation at all. It's just an admission that you haven't found the real reason yet.
So suddenly, the final cause becomes this incredibly powerful idea.
It explains all the predictable patterns we see in nature. It helps us see that the end goal for an organism is what's best for it, its survival, its flourishing, and it just perfectly connects a creature's structure, its form, to its job, its function.
But Aristotle didn't stop there. He didn't just add a fourth cause to the list. For him, the final cause wasn't just one of the four, it was usually the most important one. It was the starting point for true understanding.
He has this quote that really gets to the heart of it. It sounds a little dense, but the idea is simple. The process of making something, the generation, exists only to serve the final finished thing, the substance. Think about it. You don't build a house just for the fun of laying bricks, you lay bricks for the sake of having a house.
And what this all boils down to is a radical shift in thinking. To really truly get why something is the way it is, you have to start at the end. You have to ask, what is this for? Understanding its purpose is the key that unlocks everything else.
And this is why we're still talking about this thousands of years later. This framework totally changes the game. It shifts our whole line of questioning from what caused this to happen to what is this thing for? It redefines real knowledge as understanding purpose, and it gives us this incredibly powerful and flexible tool to investigate just about anything.
In the end, what Aristotle really gave us are 4 different lenses. You can pick up any object, look at any process, and examine it through each one. What's it made of? What's its design? What brought it into being? And what is it for? Together, they transform a simple why into a truly profound investigation.
So here's a little challenge. As you go about your day, try it out. Look at the things around you, the tech you're using, the plants outside, the systems we live in, and just ask, what is their final cause? What is their ultimate purpose? You might just be amazed at what you start to see.